This is following the TEDx series, How Unicorns Wind Up in a Straitjacket. Hi, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of How Unicorns Get Out of a Straitjacket. That's to say, talented people, professionals who are perhaps in the wrong career for them, and therefore they feel restricted and uncomfortable, and they don't have that creative freedom and all of those traits that are associated with the straitjacket. So today with me, I've got the incredible Teresa Turk all the way from the US, and she's going to be sharing her incredible career change journey. And it's been a journey, and she'll tell you all about it. So please help me welcome Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm super excited that you're here. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you're doing at the moment.
I'm Teresa. I'm a wife of almost 25 years. I'm a mom to two beautiful babies, 23 and 18. And
Baby.
um, yeah, I know, babies, right? They no longer need me. And so it was time to transition into the next part of my life. And
Right.
that's what led me here.
Awesome. So what do you do now? What's your
Yeah. So currently, I'm still in a 9 to 5 role of customer service
yeah.
and transitioning out of that because, like you said, it is definitely squeezing me into a straitjacket.
It's such a horrible graphic image, but that's how it feels, right?
It does. Yeah. And I am definitely a shiny, beautiful unicorn who needs to be free. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what have you transitioned into from your 9 to 5? What are you transitioning into?
I'm switching over to a life coach and author. I went through the whole process of getting certified to be a life coach and focus really on spiritual work with mostly moms, really helping them connect back into themselves and find their strength and validation within instead of seeking it from outside sources. So that's a very important to me and very near and dear to my heart because it's completely what I went through in my life. And then I'm finally writing my book. That
Yay!
yes, it has been within me for decades, and it's finally coming out. I'm letting it loose and going full in, and it's a passion project that I cannot wait for it to hit the shelves.
I'm really excited. I can feel that passion coming as you're talking about it. And it's just incredible to see. That's
Yeah.
definitely your unicorn side and all the beautiful shining colors coming through.
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
So, how does that feel? Tell us through the psychology and the emotion of that, the transition and the journey.
Yeah. And I think you have captured it so beautifully with the straight jacket because I've always called my job the soul sucker, right? Like it's what sucks the soul out of me to pay my bills. And
I
that is no way to
put like
spend your life. Right? So it's about my goal to pay my bills. And I've hit a point in my life where I'm like, no, like this, I cannot spend the second half of my life doing the same thing. Like it's
right.
time. So,
Yeah.
I felt it physically and emotionally through depression and anxiety and panic attacks and on my own personal growth journey, I've been able to release that and realize that, when you're being held down like that and you're devoting your life to just the mundane of getting up, going to work, paying your bills, rinse, repeat, like there is no joy in that. And you cannot spend your entire life living that way.
Of course, it makes no sense at all. Uh,
Right.
so going back to the TEDx talk, we were talking about 3 steps
Yes.
to getting into the right career for you. And the first step was identifying clues in your childhood, clues that of things that you're naturally good at, your natural path to wealth, or your zone of genius, or things that you're complimented on. Can you share with us some of the clues that you found for you?
Of course. So, one of my biggest clues was people pleasing. That's kind of always been my safety net. But when I dug a little deeper, as you suggested, it came out that, like, I like helping people. I like making people laugh. I would always tell stories and read books and write and be real super creative, like with my hands making stuff. And so, all of that were all of my clues.
I love that you mentioned that, because sometimes we see people pleasing as a negative, and
Mhm.
actually that is something that I'm working on personally at the moment, people pleasing. And I love that you've been able to turn that into actually an asset
Mhm.
in identifying a clue for your ideal vocation or avocation in your case. Um, Step two is connecting the dots. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so that one is a little trickier because, like I said, the people pleasing for me, it was almost like an addiction.
Mm,
It was my survival mechanism as a kid. So learning to switch that over into something more positive, but connecting the dots, it was basically just I have found that I can create like a safe space for people to be able to feel themselves and be themselves and find the joy that they are seeking, and help them recognize that
mm.
with a little sense of sassiness that I kind of have with making people laugh and not being so serious, and just finding the joy within.
I love that sass came out when you were speaking about that little sassiness that comes from it. I, you should definitely check her out. I can't wait for you to experience life coaching with a hint of sass. She sounds like one of my alpha women. I love it. So finally, for step three, how would you say you've applied steps one and two into crafting your life coaching business and into writing your book?
Yeah, absolutely. So the creativity side of me has really come through in the life coaching because it allows me to create a space and programs and steps to guide people back to themselves, and we do it with the sass and the laughter and all of that, so that they can finally be happy with themselves and live the life they truly desire. And that book has been in there for 20 years, and I finally have let it out and I've unleashed it all, and I'm raw and I'm vulnerable, and but it's also a platform to help others who find themselves in the same situations or same feelings. And I really wanted it to be a resource to help others. So, in addition to it being my story, I also provide resources and help for others to pull themselves out of the mud that they're in.
Oh, I think that's so beautifully applied. It makes so much sense. I love that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So finally, what's if you had to say one piece of advice to someone considering this journey and needed to birth their book and or to express themselves creatively, what's the one thing you would say to them?
To not wait. To not wait, to not put it off. So like I said, the book is something that I've wanted to write for over 20 years, and the career change as well. Like I've had a job and not a career that I love for over 20 years, and that's 20 years, like 2 decades, right? So if you have that pull, if your heart is telling you that you need to do something else, do it, no matter how scary it is, because what's the alternative? Right? The alternative is staying stuck and living that mundane life that you despise, and it's sucking your soul, my friends. Step
That
out of it.
That part, I love that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing else to be added to it. I love that.
My
Teresa, thank you so much
oh,
for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're such a ray of sunshine and just
thank you.
ball of energy, and I'm so grateful for you being here. And
Thank
definitely do check her out. Her details are going to be on the video shortly, and definitely do reach out. Her book is coming out in the summer of 2021, and I cannot wait for you to read it. It's going to be amazing. If you've loved what you've heard here, wait till you read the book.
Don't be a unicorn in a straitjacket.
Absolutely.